Hello everyone, welcome on in. It is Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, your number one tennis betting podcast and YouTube show brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. We were hoping to come on this show today and give you a preview of the 1000 in Cincinnati, but the draw was late last night. There's still action going on over in Canada, in Toronto, so we have to push that show back to tomorrow. So unfortunately, I'm joined by our senior ATP Tour. I'm fortunate to be joined by our senior ATP Tour handicapper, Sean Calvert. But unfortunately, Sean, we've got to look at the two semi-finals tonight in Toronto rather than the 1000 in Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess, this tour, isn't it, at the minute? It's this post-Wimbledon period, and they're trying to extend the Masters. Well, they have extended a lot of the Masters 1000s. I'm not sure who it's serving, because I haven't heard a player yet say that they like this extra time at a Masters. In fact, the vast majority of them have come out and said that they really don't like it at all because they've got nothing to do. You know, they don't need those extra rest days. You know, if you win in straight sets or whatever, or even in three, unless it's an absolute epic, you don't really need those extra days. And then they've got obviously the final of Toronto the day before Cincinnati starts. It's just a mess. I don't know who comes up with these schedules, how the calendar works, but it's a mess. No one really likes it. If people do like it, if someone said they like it, I haven't heard about it. So yeah, it's causing problems for us, but also for the players.
Yeah, awful decision. I mean, it's ludicrous. I mean, make it, I don't know, start it on the Wednesday and finish on the Sunday or something. Have the 2 days off at the beginning of the tournament, start Wednesday, go into 10 days, but end on the Sunday. That would make logical sense, wouldn't it? And then start again. It just doesn't make this idea of one tournament not even finishing with all the other ones.
It's probably to do with ticket sales and TV rights and all that stuff, and they've sold the TV rights based on what matches they think. It's really complicated. It's got nothing to do with how we would schedule it. If a normal person sat down and scheduled a calendar, they wouldn't do it like this. It's all to do with, stakeholders and sort of financial obligations and all the rest of it, I should imagine, because it doesn't make any sense otherwise.
No, absolutely a bit of a nightmare for us. It's almost a nightmare for bettors. I could imagine turnover being down as well. I'd have to find out from the guys at Bet Rivers, but I can imagine turnover being down on this because people just I know it's obviously American timing, but people just don't think the tennis tournaments are going on the semi-finals on a Wednesday and don't think the finals going on.
It's just lagging, isn't it?
Traditional weekend.
It's just lagging. It's people just like, well, what's on today? Well, nothing. Okay, well, we'll wait until tomorrow. Yeah, it doesn't really make any sense.
And then you have this ridiculous thing of I was reading about the mixed doubles at the US Open. More money coming in a bit early. The tournament starts a bit earlier for the mixed doubles. That gets that done in the first week, and then we get in.
I mean,
it's all gone mad. It's all gone money.
Who's
orientated.
Watching mixed up? I don't understand people getting excited about, I don't know, Alcaraz playing with, I don't know, Raducanu or whoever it is. I don't get that. I just wouldn't watch it. What's the point? I don't. Maybe that's just me, because I generally watch tennis from a sort of betting perspective. For me, that's it's a glorified exhibition, but I suppose they must be doing it for a reason.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. That said, a couple of weeks' time, the US Open, the countdown to the US Open does continue, but it's continuing at a very slow pace on the channel.
Very slow.
Obviously, we brought up a bit of momentum with Wimbledon. Obviously, but now we're all over the place with the scheduling. We will be covering the Cincinnati tournament tomorrow. The draw is out. No odds as of yet, but tomorrow morning we will record a show. There will be a preview on the Cincinnati, and we're also looking at the first round. That will be tomorrow on Thursday. And then we'll try to fit a few more in as the week goes on. And obviously next week, with strange timings, but normal service will resume when the US Open comes up at the end of the month. Okay, we have reached the semi-final stage, finally, in Toronto, and there hasn't really been many shocks. We thought it might be a tournament that might throw up a couple of shocks. The number one and the number two seed are there already. If we look at the outright betting, before we go anywhere, Alexander Zverev is the favourite with Bet Rivers at plus 140, Taylor Fritz is plus 170, Ben Shelton 350, and Khachanov is the $9 underdog. Zverev has the match against Khachanov, and Taylor Fritz takes on Shelton in an All-American semi-final. That is the outright. Those prices will be available on the Bet Rivers website until the first semi-final starts this evening. And the first semi-final starts at 7 p.m. local time. So if you want to bet on the outright, you can do. The odds are available till 7 p.m. And that first semi-final is the match between the number one seed, Alexander Zverev, and Karim Khachanov. Zverev has never really done it when he's a number one seed, but he's probably put his best run of the year together as a number one seed here to reach the semi-final. He has a decent head-to-head record against Khachanov. He leads 5-2 in the head-to-heads, and he's won their last three meetings, the two most relevant in 2024 in Cincinnati and 2024 also in Miami, both in similar conditions to what they played tonight, and both of them were very easy straight sets win for the German. Zverev has done well to reach this far, struggled a little bit against Popperin, and also it'd be fair to say that Khachanov has probably been as impressive with his run through, but probably a slightly easier route. Win against Casper Ruud and a good win against Alex Michelsen, who both myself and Sean fancied here. Let's have a look at the odds with Bet Rivers. The current prices are minus 250 for Zverev, plus $2 for Khachanov. Spread is 2.5, total 23.5. Set betting, total sets on the graphic there. There is also a high number of bets available on the Bet Rivers website and on the app. Download the app. 55 different bets available on this semi-final. 7 p.m. local time. Zverev minus 250. I suppose if we look at the form of the last two matches, it's very hard to go against him.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet him at minus 250.
No.
It has been a difficult matchup for Khachanov over the years, but Zverev minus 250, not for me. I mean, if you look at the matchup from the sort of back of the court sort of perspective, Khachanov doesn't really do anything better than Zverev for me. You know, his serve, is it better? He's been serving great. Is it better than Zverev's? Not for me. Backhand, no. Forehand, not really. And Khachanov, it's the old problem with Khachanov. He's playing that well at the minute that he's getting through without doing the things that I want him to do, which is basically come forward to the net. So he's going to have to beat Zverev from the back of the court, which, as I've said, what shot of his is better than Zverev's? Maybe the forehand you could potentially argue, but that depends on what Zverev turns up and how he approaches this match. If you look at the head-to-head all-time, it goes back quite a few years, so you could perhaps argue, is it that relevant? I don't know, but the all-time statistics, service points won and return points won total, Zverev 104 to 96 ahead, so not a huge amount. It's not like the overwhelming head-to-heads that we've seen, that I've talked about on this show before. This is an all-right advantage to Zverev. It's a decent advantage, but not so overwhelming that you would think that Khachanov isn't in with a decent chance here. And just looking at those numbers in slightly more detail, Zverev is winning the serving battle, to highlight the point that I mentioned about, what does Khachanov do better? Zverev wins 74% of his first serve points in this matchup. Khachanov 68%. So Zverev has won the serving battle as far as first serve is concerned. But actually, the second serve points, which is something I've talked about Zverev for the last few shows, it's actually Khachanov that wins more second serve points in this matchup. 51% he wins compared to 47% for Zverev. So you could argue that the first serve has been what Zverev has leaned on in this matchup, and Khachanov not done enough on returning that first serve. Will he in this match? Well, we'll see. As far as this Toronto is concerned, you did say that a minute ago that Khachanov has been impressive, and he's actually got a better set of statistics than Zverev so far this tournament. Service points won and return points won totals. Khachanov 113 this Toronto, which is very good indeed. Zverev pretty good as well on 111, but you could perhaps argue that who has Khachanov played really? Fikovic, Nava, a sort of Casper Ruud that was overwhelmed with the court speed, and Michelsen. Zverev's not had a particularly tough route through either. One of them was a retirement from Cerundolo, so what are those statistics worth? If you break them down a bit more, we see that both of them have been relying very heavily on their first serves. Zverev 82% first serve points won this tournament. Khachanov 84% first serve points won this tournament. So very, very good numbers on first serve, but on second serve, again, not that great. Zverev's only win 49% of his second serves this tournament. Khachanov slightly better on 52%. We've got some numbers in, actually. We don't normally get the court pace index numbers until the sort of first week has kind of finished, which isn't that helpful for us. But the CPI on the centre court last few days has been around 44.5, which is very fast indeed. People will recall that Cincinnati last year was incredibly quick, and that was only 42.5. So this centre court is is quick with these Wilson US Open balls. So that's would probably explain a bit of why the first serve points won is so high for both of these guys. So it's going to be a bit of a serving battle. As I said, the second serve, it's up for debate, that is, because Zverev's not winning enough second serve points generally, and he's not won enough in this matchup. So there are openings, I think, for Khachanov here. But the other side of the coin is, if you look at what Khachanov done against top 5 ranked opposition in his career, it's pretty poor. He's won 4 matches and lost 34, which is a win rate of 11%. So is it value at plus 200? Probably not, you would suggest, on his record against top 5 players. This is going to be an evening match, 7 p.m, I believe, local time. That should make it a bit easier to play, little bit cooler, but it's still going to be quick, and they're both serving massive. So I would suggest here, given how they're serving, I would suggest over 10.5 in set 1. They're both holding well over 90% of the time. Over 10.5 in set 1 here is plus 155 at Bet Rivers. I think that's perhaps the way to go. Just looking at what Zverev's done, he first set tiebreak against Popyrin. Obviously, Cerundolo was injured. First set tiebreak against Arnaldi. First set tiebreak against Walton. So I think that's probably the way to go here. Over 10.5 and so on. It's not an easy one to bet. I don't like Zverev at minus 250, but I'm not wild on Khachanov at plus 200 either. So I'd probably go set 1 overs there.
Yeah, set 1 overs is the lean with Bet Rivers. A match starts at 7 p.m. Obviously, go across to the website, download the app, get those prices there. That's just the lean there. But the court speed is quick the last few days, and we think that will continue with a long match, and particularly set number 1 between Zverev and Khachanov. Should have said at the top of the show, please hit the subscribe button if you like what we're doing here and like the content here. Hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, be alerted every time any bit of content drops. Lots of content coming your way to build up to the US Open, as I said earlier. Lots of tennis content as well, and this weekend, loads of soccer content that starts of the following week is the start of the Premier League. We have our preview shows of the Premier League and also our preview shows of all the leagues across Europe. The soccer action continues, and it's going to go all the way through until the summer of next year. So this is going to be a busy, busy time for us. And then we've got a World Cup. So make sure you subscribe to what is the fastest growing sports betting YouTube channel out there. Okay, let's move on to our second match, and much more interest to American bettors, much more interest to me. I think this is a fascinating matchup. It's the American number 1 against the up-and-coming kid in America, and American number 2, Ben Shelton, a man who's really, really making a statement this tournament, and since Wimbledon, really. I've been really impressed with Ben Shelton in recent weeks. Anyway, he's up against Taylor Fritz here. The American number 1, Fritz, is the favourite, rather strong favourite on what I've seen this week, minus 165. Ben Shelton is plus 132, and the spread is 1.5. Total here is a lot higher, 25.5. You can see how high it is there. These two guys have been serving fantastically well. And if you look at the head-to-head, the last time they met was in 2023 in Indian Wells, which was considerably slower than the court they're going to be playing in later this evening. And that was a match that produced 29 games in a 3-set tight win for Taylor Fritz. Since 2023, you can make a case for both of them to improve their game. But I think Ben Shelton has got something about him this tournament. He was exceptional last night against Alex de Minaur. This is the later match. It's 10 past 8, but it's obviously going to be after Zverev. Maybe a little bit later on, could be around about 9 o'clock Eastern time. Make sure you don't miss out on the bets on there. But this is a fascinating matchup, Sean, isn't it? And this is an all-American clash in the semi-final of a 1,000 event. And this is the first time since 2010 in the Cincinnati Open where Mardy Fish beat Andy Roddick, where we have had an all-American semi-final in an ATP Tour 1,000 event, which is staggering.
15 years.
15 years, yeah.
Wow, I did not know that. I mean, yeah, I'm slightly surprised, but I mean, men's American tennis hasn't been that great in the last sort of 15, 20 years, I suppose, since Andy Roddick. You could perhaps argue. Isner made quite a few latter stages of Masters 1000, but there wasn't that much apart from him. So it's perhaps understandable, but yeah, 15 years it's too long, really, isn't it? But these two are. Well,
just before we leave that, it's only been 4 ever in the 1,000 events, and none of them were like Sampras and Agassi when the Americans, and they never met. 4 ever, and I'll give you the other 3. The one before that was Agassi beat Andy Roddick to reach the final of the Cincinnati Open again in 2014, and the one before that was Roddick beat Vince Spadea in the last 4 of the 2004 Miami Open. This is the 4th time. So Sampras and Agassi never met. Roddick and Agassi never met. Roddick would have been around when Sampras was around. I thought so. They never met either. It's crazy.
I mean, that Sampras and Agassi were probably in opposite halves of the draw, weren't they? Most of the time, like as 1 and 2. That's perhaps why they never met in the semis. But yeah, Vinny Spadea, he's famous for having one of the longest, if not the longest, losing run on the tour, isn't he? I think he was on that really long losing run. Didn't he beat Greg Rosetsky at Wimbledon in the first round?
Yeah,
and he'd lost his last 16 matches in a row or something like that. Kind of surprising that he made the semis of Miami, but yeah, it's probably some of it is to do with the seedings. Yeah, I mean that's would explain quite a bit of it, but yeah, it's not good enough, really, is it, for American tennis to have to wait that long for a semi-final of a Masters? But as you say, these two are exciting players, and we'll probably see a lot more of these guys in the latter stages. But I'm not as convinced as you about Shelton, to be honest. I can't see any value at plus 132 about Ben Shelton here, and that's because I just don't think he's got it against the very best players or the better players. I mean, if you look at what he's done here, yes, he was very good against what was a pretty poor Alex de Minaur. De Minaur hasn't been able to find his serve at all in the last couple of games, couple of matches, should I say. Against TFO, he couldn't buy a first serve. Against Shelton, he couldn't buy a first serve, made a lot of unforced errors. And prior to that, Shelton had to go all the way to a final set tiebreak to beat Caboli. Caboli served for the match against him. Final set tiebreak as well against Nakashima. I just think it's easy to look at what he does what he does well when he's doing it well. He can be unplayable at times. At other times, he can be awful. If we look at what he's done, Shelton, against top 5 ranked opponents at main level, obviously Fritz is one of those, number 4. It does tell a tale. 2 wins for Shelton against 14 losses. It's a 12.5% win rate. And just looking at what he's done against the current top 10 in the last 12 months on the quicker services, i.e. grass and hard, he's only winning 26% of return points and breaking serves 6% of the time. It's not anywhere near good enough for me on return. He has returned quite well in this tournament, but Manarino, Caboli, de Minaur, not the biggest of servers. He's going to face a much bigger serve here in Taylor Fritz. Again, if we look at what these players have done this Toronto, I talked about the stats with Khachanov and Zverev. They're on 113 and 111. Shelton's on 105.5 total service points won and return points won total for this tournament. Fritz is a little bit better on 108. So out of the 4 semi-finalists, Shelton's quite a bit low, but you could potentially argue that he's had tougher opposition than some of these guys. But again, Shelton relying quite a lot on his first serve to get him through, similar to Zverev, really. And Khachanov to a certain extent. 79% first serve points won this tournament, Shelton, but only 51 on second serve. Fritz, a much more balanced set of stats, winning more on first serve, 82% on first serve. So he's been very, very good indeed on first serve, and 58% on second, which is pretty good. He'd sign up for 58%. The other 3, Shelton, Khachanov and Zverev, not good enough on second serve for me. If we also look at what Taylor Fritz has done against left-handers, obviously Shelton's a lefty. He's not a typical lefty, but we haven't really got that many comparisons to Ben Shelton. As far as just general left-handers are concerned, Fritz has won 19 of his last 24 main level matches against left-handers, so no issue for him there as far as the matchup is concerned. And I'm also not sold on Ben Shelton against big servers. He's lost twice to both Mensik and Mpechi Pericard in the last year or so, and he's only 4 wins and 7 losses against the big servers that I've got listed in my database. So I just feel like at the stage of the career where Taylor Fritz is at, he should be winning this match. I just don't see Ben Shelton breaking his serve often enough or at all, based on what he's done against the very top players. I'm tempted with Fritz minus 2.5 games here, plus money, plus 120. That's potentially the way I go. I mean, I'm going to save my my money for the first round of Cincinnati, which always produces, well, not always, but most of the time produces a lot of underdog winners. These matches are trickier, but for me, if you're going to come down on one side or the other, you're best to do it strong. Go for it. And I would say Fritz minus 2.5 games plus 120 probably the way I go here. I just don't see Shelton breaking serve enough. I can see Fritz holding an awful lot, and one breaker serve would probably be enough for him to cover the minus 2.5.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup for sure. I think Ben Shelton is a big game player. I think he will get in the crowd behind him. Fritz more level-headed as well. I think it's going to be a very fascinating match to see who goes into the US Open with a bit of momentum, leading the charge for American tennis. The last American winner of the US Open with the men's singles was 2003. Andy Roddick. It's been a very long time, and these guys are in the mix. If you look at the BetRivers website now, you can get 22-1 Taylor Fritz to be crowned the US Open champion. So he is the sixth
final last year, of course.
And Ben Shelton 30-1. He's the 9th favourite to win it. So they are contenders. They're not leading contenders, but they're definitely in the shake-up. Will they be in the shake-up next week for Cincinnati? We'll have you covered here on that show tomorrow when we preview the Cincinnati Open. I can imagine that these players going deep here will be ones on the fade list. We'll have to look at the Sean's analysis tomorrow, where Sinner and Alcaraz return in their final tournament build-up to the US Open. If you like what you hear on this show, sign up for our newsletter, get exclusive tips and the free Insider magazine. Sign up for free at bettingweeklystudios.com. So that's it for what has been a stop-start, in and out, itty-bitty, whatever way you want to describe it, Toronto Masters. But it could be a good one for American tennis. You're guaranteed a finalist. We'll see who gets through to play either Khachanov or Taylor Fritz. Sean, before I let you go, give us your leans for tomorrow, please. Or tonight, sorry.
Yeah, the first one was in the match between Zverev and Khachanov. Over 10.5 games in set one is a plus 155 chance with BetRivers. And the second one, Fritz, minus 2.5 games to beat Shelton, plus 120.
Yeah, a couple of leans there. The official plays will come tomorrow for Cincinnati. Remember, 7 o'clock Eastern time, the first match up, and the other one will follow. So around about 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, maybe a little bit later. But make sure you check out the BetRivers website. Lots of content coming your way. Betting Weekly Tennis live Monday and Wednesday. Fast break and hardball. And as I said as well, at the start of the football season, Betting Weekly Premier League and Betting Weekly Extra Time are back this Friday, previewing all the futures on the leagues across England and in Europe, the big leagues, the main leagues. And then we're back every Thursday and Friday throughout the football season, which starts Premier League back next Friday. So lots of stuff to look forward to here. Might not be in the greatest week of tennis action, but I guarantee you in the next few months, there's going to be some great weeks here. So please hit the subscribe button, join us along, like the comment, and join us tomorrow for our preview here on Betting Weekly Game Bet match of the Cincinnati Masters. Take care. Good luck tonight. Cheer on the Americans, and we'll see who gets to the final. Take care.